There's nothing romantic about washing the dishes. Modern Tales with Personal Magic by K.J. Joyner. Read by Katrina Joyner. Produced by the Writers of the Apocalypse. www.apocalypsewriters.com. This book is a collection of short stories inspired by real life. At least one is an actual true story. Most represent a mundane side from science fiction and fantasy writer K.J. Joyner that people just don't get to see very often. I hope you enjoy. Silver. Redemption can come in many ways, depending on how you find it and where you look. For Lisbeth, it comes on the back of the silver mirror that keeps her silver sword. The last surviving member of the Light spent her Saturdays washing dishes when she wasn't working, and picking up bits of trash from her cluttered living room floor. Housekeeping was not her strong suit. It never was, she reflected often while leaning against the door frame to her bedroom, trying to figure out which chore needed her most. Sometimes one has to seek a better way of life, which is how she ended up spending her days doing nothing important. She once thought the simplicity of life with bills and little else would suit her. At the time, she was jaded. Funny, now that she had peace, all she could do was long for more. The telephone rang, the sound muted by a blanket carelessly thrown over it from that morning. By the time the cordless was located, the ringing had stopped. Oh well, at least it could be put back on its hook, the only bit of consistent orderliness in the house. There it would stay until it rang again, which it did before the hour was up. "Hey, Lisbeth, let's go to Central Park." Judy's cheerful voice pierced the earpiece. "It's a record high today, 90 degrees. This calls for a celebration. Besides, you need to get out of the house." The housekeeper looked out the window at the clear blue sky. She remembered her long-gone designation. She once walked proudly down fortress stairways, certain that death was better than peace. Her companions, also members of the Light, had felt that way as well. It was that common belief that held them so close together. Somewhere in the back of her mind, Lisbeth still remembered their cries in battle. Now the others were gone, and she remained only to clean house and long for those past days. Had she ever noticed the weather before this? Swords flashing, people crying, war chants, banners waving in the wind, and she, thighs girded with weaponry. "All right," Lisbeth said, forcing herself to sound cheerful. "I'll meet you at the light rail station in 30 minutes. Judy was a redhead, minus the stereotypical temper, with a perky nose and sparkling green eyes. Even standing behind the train as she was when Lisbeth got there, she could not be missed. She held her straw hat in one hand and, jumping on her toes, waved to Lisbeth with the other. Lisbeth smiled, waving in return. Judy had a way of lightening any mood simply by being there. She seemed oblivious to everything miserable, and that suited Lisbeth just fine. The two women hugged before punching their tickets. As usual, the 34th Street light rail station in Bayonne, New Jersey was almost empty. As if Lisbeth's arrival had set the world into motion, the train closed its doors as soon as they boarded. Today it was their private car, smoothly gliding its way towards Journal Square. Lisbeth watched the terrain whiz by, mentally comparing it to places she had once known. Judy's nose was hidden behind one of her weird books, the one about resurrecting the dead. Lisbeth knew about necromancy and other forms of magic, but seldom paid attention. Privately, she rolled her eyes and grinned. Judy fancied herself not just a witch, but a sorceress. She obsessed about magic, any kind, and flitted around Lisbeth like a moth to flame. It was magic that had brought them together when Lisbeth befriended the local devil worshippers from sheer boredom. Judy often said that if it weren't for the devil, they could never have been friends, right before laughing like a maniac at her little joke. Judy was incorrigible and wanted to learn everything there was to learn. For
Sample complete. Ready to continue?